come back a little bit. All right. And away we go. We want to welcome everyone to the October 21st, 2024 agenda of the Education Alliance Board of Directors meeting. The first item that we have today, call to order at 4:06 this afternoon. And we'll go over to our secretary for roll call. John Adunco.
Well, you might need to turn on your.
Oh, yeah, and there you go.
John Ardunco. Not present. Michelle Anderson.
Here.
Brian Bosma. Christine Brown Gallagher. Melissa Dedman.
Here.
Kaylin Evans. Lauren Rodriguez. Jabari Goodridge.
Here.
Crystal Herrera Woodley. Victoria Mason.
Here.
Landon Miller.
Here.
Chris Morgan.
Here.
Manny Ortiz.
Here.
Ralph Rodriguez. David Shintani. David Taylor.
Here.
Sarah Gobs-Hill.
Here.
Tegan Richardson.
Here.
And I am here, Julia Rogers.
All right, Julia, thank you. I do believe we have quorum with the arrival of Manny, so we are good to go with that. Up next, we're going to do our 2.0 agenda items. And I believe the first thing that we need to do is call for public comment. Is there a public comment in the room?
None at this time.
None at this time. All right, Brittany, thank you so much. Item 201, approval of the minutes of the August 26, 2024 meeting of the Education Alliance Board of Directors. So we'll need a motion, and then we'll need a second, and then we'll do a vote.
I move to approve the August 8th minutes, is what was it?
August 26th.
26th. that's
August
right.
26th.
Yeah, I move to approve them.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, good job, guys. We passed it. Approval of the minutes, August 26, 2024. Item 202, we have a presentation and discussion by our Executive Director, Sarah Gobs-Hill, on Education Alliance Community Engagement Programs, Partners in Educations, Caring for Classrooms, and Redfield Community Outreach. Sarah, it's all yours.
Excellent. So you guys have the board packet, and most of that is a visual representation of the things I'm going to talk about, but just so that everybody knows, you do have that for reference. I wanted to let everyone know a number of folks from this room came for the Dollars for Dingers celebration that NV Energy supported Education Alliance, which was really fantastic. For those of you who are not there, I threw an amazing pitch. And for those of you that were there, shh. No, but it was really fantastic to have that kind of awareness being done by NV Energy, because every single time there was a home run during the season this year, they gave a shout out to Education Alliance, which I think was really fantastic. Also, it was really great just to meet a number of their staff and for them to get to meet some of our board members and to get to hear about the work that we're doing around chronic absenteeism. We're really excited. We will be celebrating I-80 and their support for positive behavior incentives. This was a new participant in the Partners in Education program, and it really came from participating in Principal for a Day, which is exciting. They, somebody from I-80 shadowed Adam Searcy, and they really had a great experience, and so it kind of opened the door for that, so that was great. We have the Microsoft Annual Employee Give campaign, which is supporting our efforts, and I'm going to let David talk just a little bit about that to give a little bit more context, if you would.
Sure. As I mentioned last board meeting, Microsoft every year does their annual employee giving campaign. They select between 4 and 5 different nonprofits in Northern Nevada to be recipients, and basically all month long our employees have different events, activities to raise money for those groups. Education Alliance was selected again. So, so far, there's been a couple of events, but the key and the largest event is next Tuesday, which Ed Alliance will be at to kind of speak to our employees before the event kicks off. And it'll be kind of an internal event, but there will be a live auction, a silent auction, and kind of a sweepstakes thing where people will be purchasing things and be bidding on, I believe there's 9 live auction packages for this. So it has really good opportunity to raise some serious dough for Ed Alliance. So excited about that and excited what we've done so far. So hopefully we can bring in some dollars as much as we did last year.
Yeah, we're really excited to be there. And it's so amazing to see the connection. Like a number of the people that were in the room as we were sharing about the work that we were there, or that while we were there, were also at our event. So they had heard the superintendent, they had heard President Smith speak about the needs, and it was just a lovely way to kind of start to thread those pieces together. Another note on partners in education, we are really working on serving our biggest partners and principals as we start to think about streamlining the program for next year. So if you are a supporter or you know a supporter of, or steward in a relationship for that, there's a good chance that we'll be going out and to just ask them some questions. We really want to make sure that it works for both parties involved, and just because it has a long history and there may be some things that we can do that could be really impactful that we haven't thought of yet. So we wanted to put that on your guys' radar, especially because we'll be reaching out over the next couple of months. In terms of caring for classrooms, again, this group knows that we are focusing on student engagement programs to improve attendance and reduce chronic absenteeism. Just a reminder, we are working with the Chronic Absenteeism Coalition, and since the last time we met, that group presented and had some news coverage, which is really fantastic. You're really starting to see awareness be involved. I think the last group, I kind of mentioned a number of the nonprofits working together, but KPS, or PBS Reno has also joined, and they are working largely on revamping an awareness campaign in both English and Spanish. So I imagine you'll start to hear more and more about just the power of showing up and what that does for students. And again, the evidence-based solutions that we are asking people to support. So as we're continuing, after the event, we're still asking for people to help with middle school engagement or middle school specific engagement programs, engagement support such as teacher stipends, supplies for topic-specific clubs and intramural sports, and food and snacks. Like as we've been talking to our different principals in different middle schools, we keep hearing about all the different ways that people are going to be able to use these funds, as well as positive behavior incentives and attendance recognition incentives at the individual class and school level. So just to kind of put that out there. I just ask for you guys if you'll just help us continue to build awareness and how people can support Education Alliance to do this. So if there are people within your world or other boards that you know of or other organizations and you don't think that they are aware of just the work that we're doing, if you guys want to introduce me or to go out in the community, we'd love to share just the work we're doing and bring those stories fully to them. And then finally, the Redfield Outreach Coordinator Program. We are posting the new coordinator position here shortly, which should be fantastic, and will help us really serve those schools well. Field trips have begun with the focus schools, and that's always just a really amazing time because then you start to hear about, oh my gosh, I got to go out and see this, or this group came in, and what a difference it makes for those schools. So that's really exciting. This year, we're really focusing on collecting a little bit more qualitative data to just share in the annual report and a little bit more enrichment to that, because we know that, yes, while you can look at school-wide metrics, sometimes that doesn't always tell the full story. And so we're hoping to just be able to hear from students and parents what a difference that makes. So that is my update for those programs. So Tegan, if you want to take it away.
Oh, no, you're good. I'll let you finish your snack there, but yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, David, as well. Big thank you to Microsoft. I mean, next week sounds like it's going to be a really special and cool event for all of us. So on behalf of all of us, thank you for that. And busy time for you too, Sarah, huh? Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Tegan, I'll go over to you for item 203. This is the presentation and update on the Superintendent Student Advisory Council activities.
I would just like to make it known that I am no longer on the Student Advisory Council. Unfortunately, it just didn't end up working out timing-wise, things like that. But from what I've heard, it's been going really well. They went and saw nutrition services a few days ago, got to test out some of the new food they're putting out. That's what I heard. So that's what they did at their last meeting. I also am from AECT. As you guys know, we host an event every year called Fall Fest. I talked to you guys about it last year as well. We are looking for corporate sponsors this year, so if anybody's interested, please do let me know. We already have one corporate sponsor. We're really excited, and the event is this Thursday if any of you guys want to bring your families. So obviously, I'd let you in for free if you guys want to come. But it's also a community service event, so we mass donate a ton of food to the Food Bank of Northern Nevada during their Christmas donations time, as well as we did a book drive going into Fall Fest, so all last week and all of this week, and we have gotten about 300 books that we're going to be giving out during the event. We're really excited to be able to put that back into the community and give some new books to some kids. So yeah, we're really excited. If you guys want to come or promote it, I'd be really appreciative. It'd be fun.
And what is Fall Fest? That sounds like a good time, right? Right before Nevada Day too.
That's why
Yeah,
we did it, is
exactly.
because so the
That's
kids
great.
have the 3-day weekend.
Uh-huh.
So Fall Fest, basically what we do is it's a completely student-led event, so it's only students. Typically we do juniors and seniors, each of us run a booth, and because there's not a lot of us, there's only like 20 booths. But we do booths. We have a craft fair this year. We have food trucks. It's super fun. We have over 20 craft fair vendors this year. It's really exciting. It's a brand new thing that we put out. And we, after the admission fee, you don't have to pay like a ticket fee, anything like that. They get to play the games as many times as they want. So it's kind of catered for all ages this year with the craft fair part and the food truck part. It's really exciting, and we're really excited about putting it on and getting ready for it. Except my head's about to explode, but that's okay as well.
It happens. Yeah,
It
that sounds
happens.
cool. All right. Thank you, Tegan. Yeah.
And when is it? Just what are the hours?
5 to 9 on this Thursday.
All right. Up next, we're going to move on to agenda item 204. This is presentation and discussion on the Community Foundation's 100% Giving Board initiative. Sarah, do you have an update on that?
I do have an update.
Is it a good update?
Yes.
Okay,
So I
let's
just
hear
want
it.
to say round of applause for everyone in this room, and really, truly a note of gratitude. So we have 100% board giving already. We beat the deadline. And as you guys know, is coming in, and to people, when people see that you guys are actually supporting the organization, not only with your time, but also with a gift, I think it makes a huge difference. And so I think that's one of the reasons the Community Foundation put it together, and will be applying and for the recognition. But I just wanted to let everyone know that, the work we do would not be possible without a group of volunteers like yourself. And for those of you who experienced the leadership transition, you put in a lot this year. So I just wanted to say thank you so much.
All right, round of applause. Good job, everybody. All right, we'll move on to 205 today. This is an update on Education Alliance's Caring for Classrooms special funding panel. This is for presentation and discussion. So with that, is this me? This is you. All right, this is me. So we were kind of waiting for the timing on this just because we wanted to make sure that all the schools got the heads up before we announced it here. So this is the announcement of which schools got some extra money for Caring for Classrooms. This was after some careful review, some scoring, some discussion among some of the panel members. On the panel, Jabari was on it, Chris was on it, myself was on it. Who else was on it? Yanni, you were on it, right? Okay. And yeah, and Christy as well, yeah. So with that, we kind of separate it in a couple of different ways here. So we'll start with the $10,000. So 3 schools have been awarded $10,000. That includes North Valley's High School at a pretty cool project. They wanted to redo, I think it was their weight room, which that speaks highly to what we're trying to do there. Mendive Middle School, as well as Sarah Winnemucca Elementary School. $2,000 each included the school's Double Diamond Elementary, Gomes Elementary, and Incline Elementary School. And then finally, we had a $1,000 for Hunter Lake Elementary School. So some good wins there for those 7 different schools. If you kind of look at how we did it there, we did it $10,000 for the 3 schools, $2,000 for the other 3 schools, and then $1,000 that way. We kind of wanted to make the impact a little bit greater for for a fewer number of schools, and then kind of spread it out amongst the other 4 with that additional $7,000 there. So I'll talk a little bit more about the projects here. They kind of varied from updating, like I mentioned, training and recovery equipment over at North Valleys High School. There were some school-wide positive behavior programs as well. There was a field trip for some elementary schools, or an entire elementary school. So that was great to see. Very creative with some of the ideas there. And all of the areas that the funding will support, they say that they're going to improve what we're going for here. So that is all about the attendance, student morale, and some have some positive long-term effects on teachers and staff too. So this is what's next. We're going to do check presentations at the schools, the $10,000 recipients. Those are being scheduled right now. Brittany, are we still scheduling those, or how does that look? I know you reached out to me today, but we would love if any of you guys want to come. Like that'd be awesome.
The dates aren't confirmed yet, but we are looking at November 1st and November 8th midday, so we'll keep you guys posted on that.
So both of those are Fridays around lunchtime. And how does it work? We just show up and we make a big thing about it. It's
it won't
pretty
be quite as thrilling as last year because the element of surprise is gone, but we needed to let them know that they were getting the funding. So it'll be a little more scheduled. Or there will be students involved, there will be staff involved, and pretty quick, really.
Yeah, that's great. So again, if anyone wants to participate in that, I think that would be great. We did it last year. I know myself, Kaylin, a couple other people did it. It was really fun. It's cool to, from time to time, I think sometimes when we're in this room or when we're on these meetings, we raise the money, we go to the events, but we don't necessarily get to go and be part of the fruit of our efforts here, and doing that last year was such a neat experience, and it definitely makes what we do that much more real. So if you're free, I guess, on the 1st or the 8th around lunchtime, we'd love to have you. And then we'll, of course, circle back with the schools at the end of the year and talk a little bit more about the impact. So again, North Valleys, Mendive, Sarah Winnemucca, Double Diamond, Gomes, Incline, and Hunter Lake there. So any comments, questions? Yeah, sure. Gomes. Gomes. Nancy Gomes. Yeah, not Gomes. Sorry, not Roy Gomes. Nancy Gomes. Thank you for asking. Yeah. And Chris, what do you got?
Yeah, check presentations at all 7 of them, or just the 10,000?
I believe the 3, right?
Just the 3.
The three $10,000 ones.
But we did want to put it out there, if there's ever a time that you're interested in, just in terms of how we let schools know. Sometimes we drop by, sometimes we email, sometimes we do a Teams. And if you guys are interested, we could put some of that out, for board involvement. Because it is really great to hear, because you get to hear about what they get to do with it, what that means to their families, what it means to their kids. And I think it just makes you want to go out there and continue to do the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sweet, David.
Cool question, and probably clarification, you may have said this at the beginning, but how many total applications did you receive from other schools that did not receive funds?
I think this one, yeah, Brittany?
So it was the recommendation of prior Superintendent McNeil that we focus in on the bubble schools this year, and there were 7 of those this year. So all of them received some level of funding.
And just on that point, we used it from the title office who was considered. So from the fiscal year of 2025, just so you guys know, that information came to us from the title office, and that's how we got these schools.
All right. Well, congrats to those schools. Any other questions or discussion points? Which will lead us to our next one here, which is our fundraising event. Item 206, we'll do an update and a debrief on the Evening of Pure Imagination, including raffle items, invitations, marketing efforts, logistics, and the experience for supporters.
Thank you so much. I just want to start by really acknowledging both Brittany Haggerty and Lindsay Beck. Without them, this event would not be possible. I know that a number of you guys have really worked with small teams, maybe you've worked with bigger teams, but events take a ton. Like, they're just a lot of work, and these guys manage to stay positive no matter what, and that's a big deal. So, yeah, just thank you. Excellent. And so then, Brittany, I think you were going to share with some stats as it pertains to the event, and then we'll jump into the debrief.
Yeah, so overall, we got really positive feedback this year on everything. Sarah did send out a survey, I think, a couple of times, so if you haven't had a chance to fill that out, please do, because that will just help us continue to improve. So after expenses, we're looking at around 80,000-ish, but we're still waiting for a couple grants to come in, so we don't have the final numbers. This was the first year that we invested in marketing for social media, which was huge. We definitely saw that contributed to increased attendance at the event. I'll have a more detailed report of all those metrics at the next meeting. So I'm going to give kind of an interesting breakdown here of year over year. We had back in 2022, the first year, we invited 40 sponsors. We secured 13. The next year, we invited 23. We secured 18. This year, we really hustled. We invited 70 and we secured 15. So oh no, we didn't include it, the actual bar graph. Visually, it's kind of interesting to look at. Attendance, first year, 225, 250 last year, 350 this year. So big attendance numbers. And you can see that, we were really hesitant to invite individuals that first year and last year because we were thinking, oh, sponsors, you'll make more money with sponsor tables. We invited 6 people the first year. I invited no one last year that wasn't part of a sponsor table. Shh, don't tell anybody about this event. And this year we reached out to about 50 folks. So that definitely came through with the attendance jumping up the way it did. Did I miss any metrics?
No. And like she said, next meeting, we'll have all of that, those final. So visually, everyone can see that. It'll be part of the packet so that we can be like, yep, this is how much we're giving to schools, like all of the things that we did last year. We just were a little too close. We couldn't get that all done for this board meeting. So we will be going through that.
I just want to clarify what the $80,000 figure is. Is that, am I correct? And I heard it's expenses, or was that net or gross?
It's net. We think approximately 80 will be going towards student engagement.
And that
Yeah.
is down, though, I think, net from last year, right?
Well, and this is again something we'll be digging into a little bit next month. But that is because I want it just to be event proceeds, whereas in the past I think we would put proposals and proceeds together. I think it's really important that we look at the work of the event and the gross proceeds as it pertains to the event, and then look at proposals separately. So we'll put all that together. That does not mean that we will be giving only $80,000 over to the school district to support. I think overall we're up from last year, if that makes sense. But because we have those proposals, I think it's a little bit separate.
Yeah,
Effort.
because with the marketing, we spent about, what, 6 was it?
About 3,000.
3,000. Okay.
Yeah.
And so where do we think that benefited the event? And I think we can get into that probably next time.
Yeah, totally. And that's where we'll come back. We'll probably end up talking about metrics of sort of, social media, the shares, like we did gain some followers through that. I feel like we had a little bit more general awareness, but it's an important part. I think we do know we gained one sponsor because of it, but yeah. Like we'll dive into those a little bit more. And then you guys can also see the total for proposals and outstanding proposals to get an idea of how that compares to last year's total amount.
We did get a lot of good landed memes out of it, too. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So with that, we thought we could debrief the event unless there's any other questions. related
So
to those
you
stats.
sent out a survey. When would you like that survey to be complete by the next meeting, or what's the goal with that, Brittany?
Honestly, I would say within the next week or two, because
Okay.
Next week.
in order to get it for open meeting law and blah, 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 blah,
Perfect.
we need a lot of lead time.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it shouldn't take very long. There's like 6 or 7 questions, and some people have filled it out, but if, I'll resend it out as well.
Yeah, do you know who hasn't filled it out, so you can reach directly out to any of us that haven't done that?
Yeah. Prior to this meeting, I think there was only, I was like, prior to this meeting, there's only a few people who had done it, so. But that one is very specific to the event, thinking themes, thinking anything that you'd want to improve. We thought that we would use some of that information to inform this, but because we had so few board members do that, we thought we could also talk about it today. So is there any other questions just about the general stats right now as it pertains before I jump into the debrief? Okay. So I just wanted to, I really wanted us to talk about things like, what you noticed if you were a sponsor, like what people's personal experiences were, how that pertained to the sponsorship, if there's anything there. I wanted to talk about individual tickets, in particular interested in the price point and what feedback you may have gotten there. We'll talk about the atmosphere, then the activities, our communication of the cause, and then event logistics. I think before, the day of, and after, just anything that you guys experienced, and marketing, so feedback there. So for anybody who helped us with a sponsor or had organizations that they knew that sponsored, I just was curious on what the experience was like for your guests or the benefit to your organization or the connection there, and if there was anything that could be improved. I'll focus on constant improvement.
I can go first. First, thanks to the Royal Victoria. It was a beautiful venue, everything. So thank you again. I think for me, the event, I thought this past year, the message came across a lot stronger from the individuals who spoke. So that was good this year, really connecting the work that we do and showing how it impacts the school district. I think we had a really good time. One thing going forward, I think from the raffle perspective, doing the raffles, we have way too many. I think we had like 24, I think by 12, you start to see people lose interest, and we can see from there how the interest decline as we got further and further into that. So maybe we relook at fewer, but maybe more or higher value raffles, but fewer, to just keep it a little bit shorter towards the end. I thought the food was amazing. Everything from the logistics went pretty well, I think.
Yeah, the metrics definitely back you up on that. When we had less items, we raised more money. So over the years, that has been the trend.
Other feedback from sponsors or people who's talked to sponsors during the event? Anyone on that note?
I'll just add, speaking with our board of trustees and our superintendent, they were all extremely impressed and noticed the significant difference in the clear messaging and just the positive feeling and atmosphere. And then all of them said the same thing, that the food was outstanding.
It was also nice to have a full room. It definitely felt different than the years in the past. So that was good.
All right. Well, what about our tickets? Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not see.
I was just going to note that I think the fact that we had a full room had a lot to do with the fact that we had more social media advertising. And the information about the event was getting pushed out a lot more regularly. And so people knew about it and wanted to come because it looked like it was going to be fun and exciting and worthy.
And I think to the social media point, it's gonna it has to be an ongoing commitment, I think, from this board strategically. It's not going to be the first year we reap all the rewards, but over time, as we build a following, I think we're going to see the benefits 2-3 years from now from that effort.
And I think, to echo what you're saying, I think it would be important to continue those social media efforts moving forward, not just for this event, but for example, for the presentations coming up with the proceeds from the event. Follow up with that and show that, because, you know, we're going to have a lot of followers now that didn't necessarily get to go to the event, but they want to see or hear about how it played out. And then moving forward, other activities that we do in the community, like the Fall Fest at AACT, if anybody is going to go, or if we're going to have any kind of a presence there, maybe we can share some photos with our social media team and they can put it out there. Just, I feel like it should, you know, keep that momentum going and showing the public what we're doing, and that it's not just one time a year.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. That's great feedback. Other feedback as it pertains to the event?
Just some general comments. I think as far as the messaging, I think some things, and I know some of the social media comments and things and it was more so like general, I guess, general public kind of comments. I think there was some kind of confusion on their behalf that in just going forward to make it clear cut that this is a fundraising event, right? I think some of the confusion was that it was more of a kind of a entertainment / rather than a true fundraising, right? And I think if we do continue to push, you know, general ticket sales, I think that's a big component to get that message across that, hey, this is a fundraising event, right? Of course, there's some awareness piece to it, but at the end of the day, we're there to raise funds. And then the second piece that I think we could add as the event continues to grow with sponsors is we have the MC or an individual that does basically just a pointed ask at some point in the evening. So you'll see it a lot of, you know, I go to a lot of these events, and when they do just kind of a pointed ask, there's several nonprofits that do it pretty well. They raise some pretty significant dollars.
That is fantastic feedback. Yeah, I know that we had some people that were confused why kids couldn't come, because I think they thought,
exactly.
like, because of the history and connection to Run for Education, oh, is this the new space for that? So I think that's really salient feedback. Other feedback as it pertains to the event? Anything anyone wants to add? What about logistics? I really was curious about this as it pertains to board experience, either before, during, or after. I feel like we have some areas of improvement.
My fingers still hurt from tying.
The only like major logistical issue, and bearing in mind when you have an event this huge, so it's going to be something, right? So this is not a finger pointing at all. Is that at the last minute we had to figure out, we had to Google the worth, the value of every auction item, and people were coming in and actually starting to bid before we had even finished doing that. And I don't know if it actually messed up some bidding. Probably not, but that was just like kind of a fire drill. But you're going to have fire drills.
Yeah, I think on the auction items, some of the starting values seem pretty low when I was reading off when we were looking at who won for some of the prizes. I think the starting value we really need, and maybe if we have more time, we can.
Yeah, that's because Chris Morgan's wife and I were doing it. What time did the event start? 6?
Right.
At 6:01, we were Googling, and we don't know anything about sports, turns out. So we didn't even know where to start.
Right. So yeah, I think, and that could be the reason.
So should the sponsor be turning? Maybe the sponsor should be submitting the base value.
So I would like to interject there. I think that anytime we get a donation from anyone, whether it's tickets or a hard item or an experience, it needs to be accompanied by a value. If they don't provide a value, we need to reach out to them and say, hey, how much do you, what's your valuation of this prize? And so if it's, you know, it's worth $200 to us, our cost, okay, then we're going to start it at 300. You know, because their cost is not what it's gonna cost the general public, typically. So I think if they don't provide a value, we need to have that ahead of time and be ready with that. They should provide it, anybody who donates.
This is really good feedback. And again, for us, I think many times when you're securing donations, you don't want to tell people, hey, you know, we said there was a week before deadline. And when that didn't happen, we felt like, oh, we want to make sure there's things there. But I think hearing just a little bit from you guys, like, yeah, that maybe that wasn't the best way. Hearing that we had more auction or raffle items and maybe we can just focus on fewer, I think that will really help us too. So that's really great feedback. That is hard.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think it just speaks to less is more, because we had items that were walking in the door that evening. So getting all of that information, even though we asked for it, it was a little bit more of a hustle for items this year. So I think quality over quantity going forward.
Yeah, I think back to David's point a little bit is, I think we do need to think about like, what is this thing? So is it really a fundraiser? I think there's some confusion over what we do versus that Fantasy Season chocolate thing. So I think it is quasi fun. There's a good school message, but it's raising money too. And I think just clarifying what that is. Are we going to keep this theme, given how close it is to the chocolate thing? It's beautiful, and it really doesn't. I mean, it's a great theme for the room and for the costumes and everything. But I do think that's probably one of our bigger decisions as a board over these next couple months.
And I just want to chime in, having watched what these ladies were doing for setting up the event, I just will be curious to see the numbers, to see if this really is a return on investment with the amount of work that goes in. Typically, these signature events aren't, unless you're obviously like the Children's Cabinet, and you have people that are donating $50,000 at a time, to see if there's a better way for us to be raising money.
Yeah, to that point, just the participants, we have the table sponsored, but we have people that aren't necessarily coming with a ton of money just to the tables, but yet we're wanting it to be a fundraiser. Do we need to figure out how we get more of the city's movers and shakers in the room to help with some of that?
These are really great points. Anything else anyone would like to?
No, I agree. I think
writing
it's
it down.
something we definitely need to discuss, because there's a balance when, let's say, you bring your sponsors there. The people who are from the company sponsoring aren't the ones with the checkbook. So is it more targeted individual sales to people where we know they're coming to donate? Because when we get sponsorship, those individuals aren't necessarily coming to donate. So what's the balance of individual sales versus sponsors who are just sending their employees to the event?
And I think Chris's key point, and David's too, just like, is this the best strategy for education? Is that the thing that resonates the most with the audience? I mean, I think that we've put on a good event for the last couple of years, and clearly people had a good, positive experience, which for me was absolutely mandatory, right? Like, if we're going to have people engage with us, it has to be positive and feel professional. But I think that we are at a point where it's like, okay, let's look at some of the data here. But hearing that from your guys' perspective is really important, because you have been here longer. You've been here longer than I have been, so it's really important. Oops. I didn't ask Lauren online, so I just want to make sure if Lauren has any comments that she also feels included. I feel like she would normally put it in the comment box, but it's important. Okay, so I'm going to assume that there aren't any other comments as it pertains. Well, perfect. Thank you guys so much for your feedback. And again, I just want to say thank you so much to Victoria and the row. Like, this, but Landon saw me bring this in. He's like, oh no, there's going to be a Grizzly Act. I realize I may have accidentally borrowed this from some staff members, but
There was so much buzz about those among our staff
They were looking
I'm
for
totally
him?
kidding. Don't
But
do that.
No, but they were like the VIP.
they
They were MVP, those scissors.
Oh, my
We
God.
could not have done what we did without
It's
the
true.
scissors.
But truly, like your staff, like Jennifer is amazing and she keeps so calm. And then the woman, I did not catch her name, who was overseeing the whole logistics crew, she was just got everything done. She was so professional. Like your team was so amazing and they were so positive and the event was amazing.
Thank you.
So.
I'll be sure to relay that message. They'll appreciate that.
And then just one quick thing. One of the things we can do is, I know, Victoria, a lot of events happen at the row, like talking to other nonprofits that have events, other companies that go to events to kind of see what else is happening out there so we can bring that back and start to brainstorm on what's landing in the Reno Sparks community.
Oh, that's a great point. Is there a comment? No, it's just-
That's the million-dollar question all the time. Yes.
It's always, some other nonprofit must know how to raise money for this very important need in the community. Okay, with that,
But I just kind of want to go back to maybe Michelle's point too, when you're talking about return on investment and the time and the energy and all of these things that go into it for $80,000. I mean, just to catch people up who might not have been on the board. I mean, I joined this, in 2019? 2019, I think 2019, it was because we did the run and then COVID came and we had to stop that. And then in 2021, we were like, well, we need to do something. And it was just like, boom, a dinner event, Willy Wonka, right? So I think it's important to note too, just for everyone here, that maybe, and I don't want to take something that you might not be saying and say it anyway, but I think maybe moving forward, we don't have to be glued to this idea that we have to do this type of an event, considering the lift that it takes for that type of return on investment. Again, that's not our discussion today, but I think that might be something worth considering moving forward, if I'm understanding that correctly. Just don't think that for maybe some of the newer people that, we've been doing this event for 3 years and we have to do it everything moving on out. Like, I don't think that we have to be so locked in on that. So just wanted to clarify that and make sure that's that. So surveys next week. Yep. Yeah, David.
Your point is so well put. I sit on other nonprofit organization boards, and conversation we're having a lot, and these same organizations are doing the same type of things, and they're having conversations where, are we doing a golf tournament? Are we doing a dinner? And so many of them are like, we spend so many hours doing a golf tournament that raises $25,000, $30,000. Should we really be doing a golf tournament that takes so many hours? So your point's well taken, and it's a lot of them are re-examining what they're doing as far as fundraising events going forward, because the ROI, the man hours that it takes to do these events, and especially if you do several of these events a year, it's a great conversation to have.
Yeah, so the Run for Education was an even larger lift, I think, ultimately, right? The difference, though, was it was clearly education-oriented, and you got the entire community involved, right? So it had a bigger bang and a bigger influence, like it was a brand. But it was an enormous amount of work to put together. But we raised, I think, similar amounts of money.
Similar, it varied year to year. And actually, I will say a lot of the feedback that we got, not everybody understood what it was for.
That it was
They just knew education, period.
Right.
The run
the
or
fact
this?
that PE was not funded by the school district any
okay.
longer,
Yeah.
and that's what the funding was going towards at the elementary school level, that unfortunately did not come through to everyone.
I think everyone knew Run for Education was clear. They were doing something for education. Maybe not exactly
Right.
what it was going for, but it was it's clearer than what we're doing right now.
And we don't want to talk too much about the Run for Education just because it's not on the agenda, but I think it's important to at least be thinking about it. And then when we bring this back up, maybe next meeting or whatever, we have a month to sit on it. I think our next meeting is the 18th, so we have some time to think about it. But Sarah?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And as you guys know, we are just in the space of really trying to collect and show the data, and some of that has taken some systems update. And so I won't obviously dive into that either because we aren't talking about structures right now. But I will make sure that, that I keep you guys abreast as we continue to do that work, because I do think you guys are bringing up some very important points. With that, I feel like if there's no other feedback,
No other feedback, 206?
yeah.
So we'll talk about it again on the 18th with some more numbers. We'll go to 207 now, more numbers. Presentation and discussion on chronic absenteeism in the school district, including an overview and some examples on how the district and community groups are addressing the problem.
Yeah, so in the board packet, you should have gotten a secondary handout, and this is really my attempt to make sure that you guys are getting some of the same information that the Board of Trustees gets, because it's so important. I'm just going to tell you the flow of the presentation with this idea that you guys can dive into it and look into it a little bit more. But the flow of the presentation, it was given on September 10th to the Board of Trustees, and it was presented by the Chief Student and Family Support Officer, Dr. Lamarca, and a member of his team, as well as Katie Simon Hollins. So I just want to make sure that you guys are in the loop of the information. My hope is that you will take the time to review it, but if you have any specific questions, because you're like, hey, I want to know the answer to this, or I'm curious about that I can work with district leadership and help to get you guys that information, as well as the community. I really want us all to be on the same page and building awareness around the issue and the solutions, right? What's being done and how can we help, and how do we invite people into that space, regardless of it, which organization they may be wanting to support, or the work that they could do. So on page 2, there's a definition of chronic absenteeism, which I'm going to just go over, just so that we're all on the same page, because I thought it was really helpful. That a student is chronically absent if they miss 10% or more school during the year. So that's 18 days in a 180-day school year, and it's equal to nearly a month of instructional days. Why that matters is because non-chronically absent students miss about 7 days a year, and those that are chronically absent tend to miss more than 30 days. You'll notice that we have the middle school numbers on page 4, and you can just kind of see what is the chronically absent year over year. It is harder to see in black and white and easier to see in color, but you can see again why that is the focus over elementary. High school is high and higher than middle school, and that has to do a lot with the very nature of those campuses and the flexibility that those students have. There are, the school is doing a lot, and you can see, with their school celebrations, there are reasons to be hopeful, right? Like, this district has come out of the gate in the first 60 days of this year being like, yep, we also want to help build awareness around this issue, and here are some of the things that are happening. So you can see, high schools are reclaiming days. We have middle schools that are reclaimed instructional days, and many of the improvement in the elementary schools is really fantastic. It's really dropping there. Root causes, and we've talked about this, and you heard it from during the event, but they vary, and we're hearing that time and time again as we're trying to get closer to our teachers and principals and students that we're serving, that it can be everything from transportation, housing instability, how people feel about school, really a sense of belonging, whether or not it's a place that they feel like is for them, how connected, the anxiety, their relationships at schools. Many of them feel like once they're behind that there's no way they're going to catch up, so that's a big one. And so you'll see here again, what are the critical themes and strategies? These are things we have talked about, but I just wanted you guys to see, this is work that's happening within the district and out in the community. It's really those relationship pieces. So when we're saying the middle school engagement program, we know that it's not just the balls and the snacks and that, it's the person in the room who's going to be there to put together the club or the activity. Obviously, this is at the district, but this is some instruction. The daily attention, I think that this is something that we're hearing people talk about more and more, and then the engagement pieces, which is where we're leaning in. You can see more specific about what the district is doing, and if you have any questions on that, that's on 8 and 9. And then we've talked a little bit about strengthening our communities and how they're working together, the coalition that they're doing, and they have some actions that they have been working on. You see our fundraiser is part of that, but really the expansion of CIS and the middle school engagement being a big focus there. And then the last couple of pages are the evaluation metrics. And so I just wanted to keep you guys as connected to some of the work that's happening, because I think sometimes it can be really hard when you are trying to build awareness around an incredibly complex issue that has solutions happening, right? Like there are good things happening. And so I just want you guys to go through this, and if there's anything that you're like, oh, I'd like to know a little bit more about this, or if there's this sort of piece we can think about as we're bringing people in to have conversations with us at these meetings, I think it can be really helpful. I certainly, and Brittany and I say this, but obviously we're not experts. We're just helping to really champion great work that's happening and invite people in to help support the work that needs to be done. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys had that before we ended today's meeting, because that's what the work's for. Any questions just in terms of, next steps on that or anything?
It'd be great to have, like, Paul or someone come in for a few minutes, I think.
Yeah. I figured as much, but his schedule's so busy, I'm like, well, we'll just keep building as we're going, but I love it. And again, I'm going to email you guys, so if you have time to process after this and you're like, yep, I'm interested in this, we'll make it happen.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Next up, we'll have the updates from our education institutions, and that is TMCC today.
Recently, TMCC welcomed Dr. Donald Johansson, who is the discoverer of Lucy, the Australopithecine. So it's actually the second time he has visited our campus, and it was part of our distinguished speaker series chaired by Professor Emerita Dr. Diane Schilzeldine, who is just extraordinarily well-traveled and has so many connections across the world, literally. And she's able to bring some pretty remarkable speakers to our little community college here in Reno. So this was the 50th anniversary of the discovery of Lucy, and we got to hear the account firsthand from Dr. Johansson and all about his discovery. So it was just absolutely fascinating. And
I clearly know what Lucy is, but Julia is having a hard time understanding. So for those,
No.
Julia, no.
As a history teacher, I think it's really cool. Would you guys like a history lesson on
I think I missed that day. Lucy, is that like a dinosaur or something, or?
Lucy is one of the first, not complete skeletons, but very large amount of skeleton that was discovered in the Afar region in Africa, of one of the first in the lineages to becoming human. So she was an Australopithecine. I was trying not to use big words, Landon, but you're making me pull the vocabulary.
And
You
fun
lost us on-
fact, she's
Yeah.
named
Yeah.
Lucy because when they discovered her, the Beatles song "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds" was playing.
Yes.
Oh.
She's pretty
Okay.
famous.
All right,
She's
Lucy.
actually pretty famous.
All right,
you
50
need-
years ago.
You need to get in the know, yeah. So, not Lucille Ball who discovered her. So, so that was a big event recently. Let me think what else was a big event recently, or what we're in the middle of. We're actually already have opened our scheduling for spring 2025, so that is visible on our website. Students can, some groups of students can register right now for spring 2025 enrollment, but that schedule is publicly available. We have a number of fantastic classes, even for those in this room who might be interested in taking some things. So take a look at that schedule. I'm trying to think. I feel a little bit on the spot here. I wasn't prepared today. My apologies. Let's see what else. There's always so much going on at the college. It's hard to keep up. But perhaps I'll leave it there.
Just trying to look, what's the program that you have to support the kids on scholarship?
We're part of the Nevada Promise
Yeah, Nevada
program.
Promise.
Is that it?
I don't know, you want to make a plug for that? I don't know if you've ever
So
plugged it.
I can always make a plug for that. So that's actually a statewide scholarship program to the community colleges, which allow first-generation students and recent graduates of Washoe County School District to attend community college for up to 3 years free of charge. There are certain criteria that they have to do along the way. So they have to take a minimum of 12 credits, which is almost full-time at 15 credits a semester. And then they have to complete some community service hours during the semester. I believe it's 8. And then they are assigned a mentor. And the mentor meets with the student at least once a semester to just kind of keep them on track, make sure they're doing well, connect them with resources on campus. But the program is always in need of mentors. So, I put out often to this group that if you're interested in mentoring a student or 2 or 5, we have needs for that many. It's a great program that gives our students a good start in education, higher education. So, yeah.
And the deadline is next week if you work with any students, so, yeah.
Yeah, so, and it's not a huge time impact either, so I think it supports, the program needs it to be successful.
Absolutely.
If, it's a couple hours max, like a semester, if that, so.
The deadline for mentors, you're saying, is next week? When students?
To apply, it's,
Okay.
yeah.
For students to apply, yes. Yeah. Mentors, they'll pretty much take at any point. So I can direct you to that website if you're interested.
Do they need to be have they need to have graduated, or could they be a enrolled senior in Washoe County School District? 12th grader? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a recent graduate, actually. I think it's a graduate.
Just because I know where our students, they're seniors right now applying for it currently. Yes, if they, after that, they can't apply for it anymore, so they have to apply for it their first year. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of what I've been told.
Okay, so I think I misunderstood your question, Julia. Yeah, so they're applying while they're seniors, and then the scholarship begins, they'll be a recent graduate of Washoe County.
All right. Cool. Melissa, thank you. Chris, thank you. Manny, thank you. Everybody, that was good. I've heard about it, but then it was a nice little reignition in my head about that. We'll move on to 301. Some closing items here. First up, public comment. Any public comment at this time?
None at this time.
Nope, none at this time. Okay. 302, announcement of the next meeting, which will be November 18th, 2024. Do we have a location for that?
It is here.
It is here. Loving it. If that, we'll move on to 303, adjourn the meeting at 5:02 p.m. We good with that? Should I bang the thing? Thank you, everyone.